And we're back here on the water cooler with HUD Secretary Dr. Ben Carson. All right, the good doctor, tell me a little bit about this mustard seed series. It's a faith-based program at HUD, and shockingly, it has a biblical connection because last time I checked, you believe in God.
That's correct. And the book of Matthew talks about faith the size of a mustard seed can move a mountain. And we have some mountainous problems like homelessness. And people being dependent, and we want to change that. Now, before there was a HUD, guess who used to do all that stuff?
Tell me.
The faith-based community.
Oh, right, I should have known that. Thanks for setting me up.
And who better to do it, because they're right there on the ground with these individuals, and they develop relationships with people. It's relationships that get people to climb those ladders. It's relationships that get people to realize their potential. It's relationships that get people to change bad habits that lead to homelessness. And that's why we really want to pair with them. So on the first Mustard Seed series, there's a church community that I visited in Riverside, California, Mayor Rusty Bailey. And this church actually built 4 single-family homes on their property.
Wow.
And they bring
on the church property.
On the church property. And they bring homeless families in there. And they use the resources of the church to help move those people on to self-sufficiency. So, you've got all kinds of people in the church, doctors, lawyers, carpenters, all kinds of people. People who can help with transportation, people who can help with financial literacy, education. It's the whole gamut of things. And it's been quite successful. And they move one family along, and then they bring another family in. And this is something that, there are a lot of different ways that people can do things. But when you get a whole church community behind something like this, it makes a big difference. And what we are going to be pushing for is that every faith community adopt a homeless individual or homeless family with the goal of making them self-sufficient in a year.
That's a game changer.
That would be a massive game changer. You talk about moving mountains.
That's right.
That's the one that would do it. And also, we need to get rid of this phobia that many people are pushing about religion.
Right.
Godly principles, loving your fellow man, caring about your neighbor, caring about people who are underserved, developing your God-given talents so that you can be helpful to others, having values and principles that govern your life. How is that a bad thing? And those are the kinds of things I think that really distinguish this nation from so many others. And it's the reason that even though many other places have been around for many hundreds of years longer than we have, why were we able to go from a bunch of ragtag militiamen to the pinnacle of the world in record time? I think it has something to do with our faith and with the way that we treated each other. Now, this is not to say that America is a perfect nation. It's not. It's inhabited by people. People are inherently not perfect. So they do imperfect things, but what do you do if you're smart? You learn from your mistakes. You don't try to bury your mistakes or pull them all down or try to change your history. You just learn from it. That's what wise people do.
Yeah.
That's what we have to think about.
I want to ask you, because the separation of church and state people are going to, you can imagine, oh my goodness, a private-public partnership is one thing. A faith-based partnership with the federal government, I'm sure you've gotten quite a bit of pushback.
You do hear those silly things. But first of all, there is nothing in the Constitution. There are no such words as separation of church and state in the United States Constitution. That was a Supreme Court ruling, the gist of which is They want to make it clear that the church is not to rule the state, and the state is not to rule the church. Had nothing to do with people who are in government, shedding their religious connotations. I remember, when I first came into government, a senior government official said to me, you're going to have to stop the God stuff. You really can't talk about that anymore because you're a government official.
You picked the wrong person to tell that to.
I told him that's not happening. I'm sorry, because that would be like saying, cut your heart out and then continue to do your job. It doesn't work that way. And anything that we can do to help tamp down some of the hatred and the divisiveness that's going on in our country. You see, that's what will really hurt our nation. There's Russia, China, Iran, North Korea. They can't hurt us. What can hurt us is us. And if we continue to listen to these purveyors of hate and division, we will destroy ourselves. Jesus said it. A house divided against itself cannot stand, no matter what. And this is what we have to push. And the faith-based community, I think, has to be right on the forefront of standing up for what's right, standing up for principles. Because there are a lot of very good people in our country, but they are afraid. So they just sort of cower in the corner and hope no one calls them a racist or some other thing. And that's tantamount to giving everything away.
Well, here we are in a divided country, as you're talking about, and it's not just divided along political lines and to a degree, racial lines, but also faith-based lines. I mean, there has been a lot of division in the church as well, just recently in these last 4 years, for sure.
There's no question about it. And, if the faith-based communities, I think, should look at the big picture. And when I say that, I'm talking about godly principles. What is God? God is love. And, when that is your motivation, you automatically treat people the right way. When you look at the 10 Commandments, the first 4 are about your relationship with God, and the last 6 are about your relationship with man. And it all boils down to 2 commandments. Love God and love your neighbor.
Yeah.
And that's what Jesus said. And that's, I couldn't say it better, and I wouldn't even try to say it better.
As we wrap up this segment, the Mustard Seed series, what can we expect going forward? I think the first one is out September 30th. And what's going to happen as you move forward in this series?
Well, we will continue to highlight some of the programs that are going on, let people hear the experiences of the people who put the program together, some of the recipients. To register for the series, you can go to Faith Initiatives at HUD.gov. Faith Initiatives at HUD.gov. You will get back instructions on how to get connected with the program.
Very nice.
But it's incredibly inspiring what people are doing, and other people need to hear about it because that inspires them. That's what a faith community is all about.
Secretary Ben Carson, thanks for being here. I really appreciate your time.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
That's great. Can I give you here, we'll do one of those.
Absolutely.
Okay, there. It's safe. I think it's safe. All right. Thanks again. All right, back in a moment.